What up?
Let me do some sharing right quick.
Not allowed.
Let's see.
It disappeared.
Hold on. We're coming right back.
It's like, I think you guys can still see us. I just can't see you.
Yeah, it's all ridiculous. What the hell? They're having problem playing this video? They need a bag of dicks.
You better be there.
Okay. I don't know what's going on with this thing. This is a brand new computer. Maybe it's operator error or something.
ID 10T.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Now we're doing it.
I remember the first time I heard that.
Now I thought we already went live. Damn, I guess.
Well, we're live.
Yeah, we live.
I'm sharing it to the group.
I don't know how this technology.
Oh, good.
Boom. Heyo. Okay. Now, what's up? Shout out to Tori. What's going on? Heyo. Freaking, I hope everybody's enjoying their week. Their hot ass week. My name is Slizwack. Next to me, I have Gina. And through the miracles of technological internet things, we have Rachel T in here with us as well. Because, yeah.
Am I a dick if I tell you that it hasn't been hot here?
It hasn't.
Which is weird because it should be hot where you're at and not hot here.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 100 and something degrees this weekend.
102 or 3.
But see, me and her, we've used to live in Bakersfield. It would be 100 degrees for like 60 days at a time in the summer. Yeah. But now we're all pussified because we live in places where it's cold and it gets to 95 degrees and we're like, woo, my God.
Dude, my kids are sweating bullets when it hits in the 80s. And I'm like, are you kidding me? This is wind down your winter weather. What's wrong with you?
Oh, man.
And then we're going to Texas. Those kids are going to melt like snowflakes.
My thing is the humidity. It rained here today after the heat and it got real humid for a second and I was like, oh hell no, and then it got cool and I was like, there we go, we're good. I can't it
barely cracked the 70s here. It was like mid 70s beach weather, man.
Nice.
I can't do humidity. I used to live in Texas. No, thank you.
I love the humidity. That's my shit.
No,
it's a whole thing. It makes my skin look freaking phenomenal, and my hair is like the most curly, beautiful bush you've ever seen. But it's a freaking wall. You walk out of the airport, and it's like boom.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yep. That's what happened when I went to Ohio. I was like, oh my God, get me out of here. Like,
I think Ted's in Coachella. He says it's 108 down there.
Ted's living that desert life where it's 90 degrees at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling that. I used to live in this place at night because, Rachel knows about it. This place in this weird ass neighborhood
with no airflow anywhere.
Yes. When you turn on the swamp cooler, it pushes water out the pads because you've got a whole house swamp cooler going into a 6-inch tube in the attic.
Oh.
Not the ideal.
Nope.
It was nice to be like 85 degrees at night.
Oh, fuck no. That's why my friend was like, come to Arizona. I'm like, no, it's 90 degrees at midnight. No.
Maybe in the winter when it's actually a normal place to be. Sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm good.
Okay. You know what? We're kicking it in. Everybody that's going to get in here should be in here. Freaking, we already gave the intro. We're working on some formatting.
Tori knows what's up. Tori's living the life. 94 degrees.
Oh, yeah. Hey, you tell your boy I said it. What up? Tell him I said I need to get him one of his CDs.
Oh, nice.
No. Because last week he was like, hey, have you ever heard this guy's CDs? Like, oh, what CD is that? And he's like, CD nuts. Yeah.
Oh, hey,
so
man.
I need to get one of them CDs.
He's hot and funny. That's why I bagged that. I was like, yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
humor.
I love it.
Just stand there and talk. Don't do anything else. Look pretty. Look pretty, make mama laugh.
Oh, man. I got to talk to my subject matter expert to get my sound right, because my sound apparently, when I listen to other people's sound, it doesn't sound great. So we're going to try to make it better. So, yeah.
How's mine coming across?
Yours is coming clear as a bell. Like, bam. Because I'm
Great.
going to record that intro and that outro. Because I'm going to have where we can cue it up and it just comes on.
Yeah, that's nice. Nice.
But anyway, I've been doing so much research today. It's been ridiculous. Did I see the new Wendy's breakfast menu? Absolutely not. Because I'm on the Weight Watchers and I go around hungry all fucking day. It's absolutely ridiculous because I'm a full-grown man and all the stuff I like is apparently going to give me cancer and diabetes. So, yeah.
It happens.
Yeah. It's not great. But in return, they do send me a little keychain with these little color-coded bars on it for how many pounds I lose. And they screw you because the more weight I lose, the less points they give you to eat with.
That's weird.
True joke.
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be eating more when you start like a workout regimen and stuff.
Not according to Weight Watchers, and they're the experts.
But see, you can't tell me that you're all about that calorie efficient, like nutrient dense food. I know you're not sitting over there eating celery and carrots to keep the water content in.
I'm eating salads.
Uh-huh.
I'm eating freaking, I've almost cut out cheese. Freaking this afternoon I had a salad and some roasted chicken for lunch. That's my standard lunch. I freaking no soda.
What's in your salad though? Is it iceberg mix with like some barley carrots?
It's dude, it drives me insane literally because I can't eat food. I eat leaves. Here's what's so crazy. My organic salads come in a non-recyclable plastic box. Weird stuff. So you mean to tell me you gave me a plastic box full of leaves, basically. I can't recycle it, but all the stuff in there, and it says green, this and that on the side of it. I'm like, you guys are full of shit. I got organic greens in a non-recyclable plastic box. It's my jam. Oh, man. Anyway, so where are we at?
We are talking about hydroponics this session.
So we've got our space. We've got our space. We've got our lights. Now we've got to figure out how we want to grow. Oh, I did not hear about that. That is going to be spectacular.
About what?
I feel like this is a joke. I feel like we're just waiting for the punchline to fall.
Yeah, it's like Saudis. No, just kidding.
No.
Hey, yep, there it is. Bam!
Oh, okay.
I have to put on my cool guy glasses now.
Like on a serious note, Purge is coming out with another movie. It looks pretty fucking sick.
Are they?
Yeah.
See, I don't go to movies. I can't see
any of them.
You didn't like any of the Purge movies?
I haven't watched them.
I call them preparation.
I haven't watched. I've watched parts of them, but you know me. I can't be sitting still watching no movies for like, what, 80, 90 minutes at a time?
I don't
Get
know.
out of here.
The Purge was one of those like hype beast movies, and I don't do hype beast movies. I'll wait till the hype dies down, and then I'll decide if I'm like into it or not.
I hear you. One movie that I want to see made. I want to see Hulk Hogan. I want to see old Hulk Hogan and old Ric Flair have one more wrestling match. And it's got to be a cage match to the death because they're both old.
Oh.
I thought Ric Flair was dead.
No,
he just did a commercial.
He's like that close.
He just did a commercial.
Yeah.
Who was the guy that died on the highway?
No, he did a commercial for Car Shield. He's in there with Ice-T doing them freaking. I used to be a bad boy, but now I make freaking insurance commercials.
Oh my gosh!
Picking up all the commercials.
Hey, Ice loves Coco, and apparently that cost a gang of money. So, yeah.
Tori, that's
Coco
hilarious.
doesn't mean cocaine. That's the name of his wife.
Oh, Coco.
Yes.
Oh shit.
So we have our space. We have our lights, but now we got to figure out how we want to grow. Today we're going to talk about soilless water-based growing. And when I say soilless water-based growing, we're going to talk more specifically about aquaponics, hydroponics, and aeroponics.
And then those all have subcategories of passive or
passive. We're not even going to get into all that because we only got about an hour.
Passive or active?
Yeah, we're going to well, first we got to figure out what exactly, and I had some freaking slides made up, but I don't think they sized up right. We got to talk about what we're talking about.
I drew pictures in my notes.
And I think
I can hold up my picture.
Let's see here. I think I got this screen share thing going on here.
Oh.
There we go. Do we go there?
Nope. It's loading.
Okay.
Or
we don't go there?
If it's playing, I can't see it.
It's loading. It's not playing.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
Okay. I had some slideshow presentations set up for you guys. But yes, let's talk about aquaponics. Aquaponics refers to a food production system that couples aquaculture with, raising aquatic animals, fish, crayfish, crawdad snails, freaking shrimp, with hydroponics, cultivating plants in water, whereby the nutrient-rich aquaculture water is fed to hydroponic-grown plants, involving nitrifying bacteria for converting ammonia into nitrates. All that means, those are just big words saying that I put the plants in the water, I put the fish in another water. I feed the fish poop, then I take that water, the fish poop water, and I take that and I put it in with my plants, and my plants grow. That's all that means. It's just large words for that. And all that nitrifying and stuff, and that's just words for fish waste and everything like that. But basically, the fish waste is what feeds the plants, along with the water, of course, in the water that the plants are sitting in. And let's see if I can bring some of these pictures up because they're pissing me off. Okay, let's see. Because I have a couple pictures because it's important to know what I'm talking about because it's hard to describe.
That was a bomb hit, Gina.
Okay, let's see.
I took
covered the lens in smoke.
I about hit the
floor. Okay, here we go.
It was bad.
We're going to try to do this again because we're crazy and we never learn.
It's not crazy, it's insane.
There we go.
Or is it crazy?
No, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's why we're insane, not crazy.
All right.
Well, now, what you're
definitely not insane. Well, I might be. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyways.
Now, what you're seeing on the screen there is, if you look on the left, you're going to see two pools, two basically huge buckets with aerating the water and stuff. And I believe in this particular instance, this is actually a picture from a Nevada aquaculture farm out in the desert, and
Whoa.
they use shrimp and shad and carp, and they feed them freaking basically carp pellets, shrimp pellets, and they take all their freaking water and pump it over to the plants like once every 3 days. And what that does is the plants freaking get their nutrients from that water.
So is that an example of hydroponics with using deep water culture?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. Is that deep water culture or is that aquaponics? That's what I was
That would be see, that's the thing. And that's where the freaking discrepancies are. There's a couple of different things that people classify as, deep water culture and aquaponics and stuff like that. I don't think you guys can see that. Let's make it a little bit bigger. See, I resized some of these, but they didn't work out. But yeah, there's nutrient film technique, which basically has a little mist, sprays it on the plants, and what happens is that water forms a film with the nutrients in it, and it just clings to the roots, and the roots suck all the water out, and that's how they get nutrients and water.
Isn't that the same as the aeroponics?
Well, see, that's the thing. With the nutrient film technique and aeroponics, they're pretty close. The only difference is in the aeroponics, you're not adding as much nutrients, so you don't get that almost like a slime that hangs onto the roots. But what ends up happening is you have to have an interval of misting, but it's so technical that in aeroponics, if your power goes out, your plants are literally going to die. And a lot of these, even in an ebb and flow table, if your power goes out, your plants are going to die because you're not going to have that power. Because what ends up happening is you have to have a pump to move water from one place to another. Mm-hmm. So your pump is moving after a significant time. It moves your nutrient-rich water with all your fish poop in it. It moves it over to your plant area and replaces the clean water in there, and you pump some of the clean water back into the back into the main tank where the animals are, or you pump it out. Because a lot of places it just evaporates and they just fill their tanks with plants in them as needed. So when it goes down a little bit, you just top it off.
That makes sense with deep water culture, because I was going to ask if it was an ebb and flow, because an ebb and flow it'd be a timed thing where you flood your roots, but then it reverts back and is recyclable. This one sounds like deep water culture where it is recyclable, but it's flooded constantly.
Yes. Now, deep water culture is freaking, your plants are normally in buckets or some type of pool, but it's, at least 12 to 18 inches deep because it allows those roots to freaking grow inside that bucket.
And deep water culture will support more plants too.
Yes.
But you have to design the system with as many plants as you're going to use in mind because it's finite.
Once you get into the deep water culture, just in deep water culture, there's a couple ways you can do that. You can do that with a flood table with styrofoam on top, with holes with your little sprouts coming through, and your roots are on the bottom. So you've got one piece of 1-inch styrofoam. It floats all your plants. Or you could do individual containers where there's one plant per bucket. There's so many ways to do it. That's why I only want to touch on the 3 main types, because once you get into ebb and flow, freaking timed exposure and stuff like that, you go into everything else, and there's no limit to how you can do it. You're only limited by your imagination. As long as it meets the requirements, there's so many different ways to do it. I've done deep water culture before, and the way that I did it is I did it in Home Depot buckets. And I actually just had an air stone in each bucket to agitate the water, because the water was self-contained. I wasn't pumping it to anywhere. I just left it in the same container. But the drawback of that is I've got to change that water out of each container every 2 weeks, because what ends up happening is your plants don't take up all the nutrients. So you get debris at the bottom and it breeds bacteria and it causes root rot.
What about with the crack key method?
The what?
The crack key method?
Explain.
It is essentially the same thing, but what you do is you estimate your plant's need, and then you're setting it on top of the nutrient water source, and you're not doing anything with the water. You're essentially setting it and leaving it. And that's because once the root starts sucking up the water supply that's in there, it creates the air bubble that you need, and then it uses up the amount that has been supplied, because that's how much it should need as far as nutrients go.
Well, you know what though? And that's the thing. With a lot of different methods, a lot of nutrients work better. And what I found is, because I've been using Flora Nova for so long, and it's so granular. Yes, it's a lot of liquids, but the base nutrients, the Flora Nova Grow and the Flora Nova Bloom, has so much freaking solids in it that they all fall down to the bottom. Now, if you're using something like, what is it, Fox Farm, like Tiger Bloom or something like that, it's all liquid. So what it ends up doing is it just commingles and you're fine. So when we start going into different kinds, there's different benefits for liquid nutrients, for granular nutrients, for semi-liquid nutrients, because it's crazy. It's literally...
And some of the, like your hydroponic nutrients you can use for soil. You just can't use your soil nutrients for your hydroponics.
Exactly.
So
that makes sense.
So quick, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I saw this. I thought this was awesome. So we're just sharing.
Oh.
Your little hologram. Wait, no, this way.
Yeah. It's a holographic weed leaf picture.
That's fucking dope. I'm sorry. I saw that. I was like, oh, fuck.
Well, I'm in the process of rearranging this office.
Can I borrow this when I do a bunch of mushrooms?
Yeah. Mushrooms tonight?
Not tonight. No.
Why not?
Because no.
Because no?
No. Not tonight.
All right, Mom.
Plan for that. That's...
It's trippy. It's trippy. I can't look at it too long when I'm smoking weed or I'll zone out.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
that's. I know you saw what I was like. And then I was like, oh, just wait till he finishes. And
where's the pause?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, you see in my notes I've got smoke, right? Because I forget to smoke weed.
I'm very easily distracted. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I get super antsy. I'm just like, and I smoke indicas, like.
Plus, we're in this room, and I got this little. They got the door closed so Sergeant Poopy doesn't get in here. And then I got this little tiny window fan going, and it's not doing it. I'm telling you, it's not working.
Did you hear my joke when you were talking about aquaponics? No. Or I thought you were. I said aqua poopies.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Fish tank to plants, aqua poopies.
Yes. And that's a great. That is one of the reasons why I have fish tanks, is because in between feedings, I give my plants fish tank water. And it's basically a low density nutrient solution that's not giving them the regular amount of nutrients. It's kind of giving them a little elevated level in between feedings. But the bonus of it is, if I run out of nutrients, like I ran out of some nutrients the other day, and now it's time to feed. I didn't pick up those nutrients. So today, because I don't plan ahead, I had to give my plants fish water today. So, and it's, for me, it's just a stopgap, but I got to go and pick up some of those nutrients. So yeah, but
I have some stuff called, you know what? I'll donate it.
Well, I got a shit ton of nutrients, but I like using the same nutrients.
It's a soil conditioner, and it's called fish shit.
I have heard of that. It has the fish on the side of the bottle.
It has a fish on the toilet.
Yes.
Yes.
Crazy logo. Fish on a toilet. Okay.
Fish it.
So
because it's fish shit. So it's fish it.
Yeah. So my bottle says fish shit. The logo now is fish it.
Yeah.
So I do have some and I will donate it because I am not using that on my houseplants ever again.
Why not?
Blech.
Oh,
It
smells like fish shit.
It's not right. And I figured I'd give it to you so you could use it. I'm pretty sure you can use it hydroponically.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I got a question for you. Freaking, I need your assistance.
What?
And
Even
what
though
I
it says
mean,
soil condition.
and what I mean is, I've got
Okay,
probably about 30 total plants going on here. Yeah.
Okay.
Freaking, but I want to do an experimental grow, possibly doing deep water culture in my tent.
Okay.
Freaking, what do you suggest as far as nutrients? Now, for those of you who don't know, Gina here is our subject matter expert when it comes to nutrients, only because she works closely with a lot of the nutrient manufacturers.
Just a little bit. So what was your question, sir?
Is there something on the market right now that's geared toward a nutrient line that's geared towards aquaculture and hydroponics? Is there something? Yes, the liquid ones are better to use for it, but is there a specific line that's like, hey, we're your freaking hydroponic fucking shit stick?
I have, as far as anything would go, the only thing that I would have, first off, I'm sure there probably are. However, with what I have in the store, most of it is hydroponic or soil.
Okay.
Or amendments, things like that, compost teas, which are awesome. But as far as like aquaculture and things like that, that's something that's kind of
what I have found. And wait, side note.
And that's, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't own the store.
To the people that are watching, side note, we live in the great state of Oregon, which is highly restrictive on the chemicals and nutrients that you can put on plants. So a lot of things that I could get in California, just one state over, I can't get in Oregon because they're not approved for sale here. So there's a lot of, there's some stuff that I was using called Bush Doctor. It's from Canada, and we were even having a problem getting it in when we had the shop, we were having a problem getting it in California. But since in the last 5 years, it's been in and out. But Bush Doctor has been totally banned in Oregon and 6 other states.
Okay, so question.
So what happens if I ship you some?
If they know what it is, they'll freaking they won't let it through. Because I've tried just ordering it.
They know, they're like, nope, no sale in this.
Yeah. I've even had it.
Are we okay? Quick question.
Yeah.
So, Fox Farm has a Bush Doctor line.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not their Bush Doctor.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
This Bush Doctor is a foliar spray. And let me tell you, I gotta say, it's literally loaded with chemicals. Okay, it's absolutely freaking chock-a-block full of chemicals. There's like 15 different fucking chemicals in there. You can only spray it on your plants during veg, but it makes you, when you spray it on there, within 10 to 15 days, spraying it every other day, you will literally double the size of your plant from that foliar feed.
Speaking of chemicals not being allowed in certain states, I had a customer come in and say he was from Massachusetts, and he said that if you use like heavy 16,
I'm familiar.
They will fine you for contributing to cancer.
Yes, because I'm not bagging on heavy 16 because I know those guys. I got a couple of their shirts. You'll see them on the show, but the proprietary makeup of heavy 16 does contain some things that the EPA and the FDA are not impressed with.
That's nuts.
I'm not going to say that heavy 16 doesn't work, because while it's a little bit more expensive, but it will frickin' make your plants explode. But on the other hand, it's again chock-a-block full of chemicals. And if you're trying to go organic, and if you're watching what you put in your body, heavy 16 is probably not the way to go.
I mean, let's think about it. The name says heavy.
Yeah, the name says heavy 16, which should give you an idea of what kind of metals are in it.
Heavy on 16 different chemicals.
Exactly. 15.
I've never used it.
They're not trying to tell you buy my
chemicals.
cancer, but they're trying to tell you buy my cancer.
Yeah. 15 of those chemicals, the EPA and FDA are not appreciating. But I can't
say it. Can't say it doesn't work.
I can't say it doesn't.
Can't say Miracle Grow doesn't work either.
Well, no, I've used heavy 16. I've used heavy 16 in a run of plants, used it as per the labels, and I produced freaking massive buds with freaking a great taste, freaking no aftertaste, nothing like that. But one of the drawbacks in California, even though they have had weed laws the longest, there's no mechanism for testing. In Oregon, everything sold at the dispensary is tested for pesticide, mold, mildew, and freaking basically fly shit. So, but in California, you don't have that luxury. Everything here is tested, but in California, it's like, hey, I got this weed. You want to buy it?
So my frog is the same color as the backdrop?
Yes, it is.
So you can't see it.
Yes. We're just conversing about our.
You'd be able to see through it. Maybe it's just because it's a logo.
You would think you'd be able to see your boobs, but that's not.
I can see the pot through the decal.
Okay.
If you scoot over, like it'll kind of like
on our end, it looks blacked out.
Yeah, it's just
you gotta like move around to like some of the more interesting background stuff, and then you can see it.
Wiggle your shoulders.
See, there's a pot.
I'm just saying, like, it's a frog. So
yeah.
Shout out to Basin Indoor Gardening.
So
they indirectly support the show by selling us all the stuff that we need when we freaking go for our grow freaking needs and stuff like that. They carry Spider Farmer lights. They carry
Photonics, LEDs, Hortilux, Interlux.
I got to work on them. See if I can get a commercial in here.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah,
they're pretty much now they're the only grow store in town because funny story, the owner of the other grow store got shot and murdered. Yeah,
Ooh.
one of
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it's like
it's Murder Burger.
Yes, yes. That's
what we're talking about.
Shot and killed in an illicit drug deal.
Oh my Lanta!
This town, while there's not a lot of people
own the weed
here,
shop. Why are you?
No, it's not even a weed shop. It's just
a grow store.
It's just a grow
store.
Caught in an illicit drug deal, shot by a burger joint cashier.
The burger murder store. The murder burger.
Their store may have been doing things.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of, and I'm not saying they like anal, but they were doing a lot of backdoor stuff.
I mean, when the bars used to stay open until 2:30, I'd be leaving the bar and be like, why is the other grocery store all open?
But then if you drive by real late at night, they got to open up all their freaking thing to let their plants get mad air so you can see all their weed plants in this little freaking, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's horrible.
For this town being as small as it is absolutely off the chain stuff is going on here.
I met a dude tonight because I may have had a shot of Patron on the way out here. He's all, dude, he goes, I've never seen so much crazy shit as I do in this town. He's from Texas. He told me today I might not be, like, he seemed pretty fucking serious when he told me this, so take it with a grain of salt. He told me that he was out there in the corner when there was a tournament going on earlier in the day, and, or maybe it was the other day, whatever, and he heard a couple say something like, she goes, oh, well, eat my butthole. And the dude goes, okay, and she goes, no, really, and like stood up and pulled her pants down, and dude, and yeah.
I guess when you got to get it in, and you got to get it in, I guess.
How do you know if it's clean or not?
I know, right?
It's not the act. Whatever. I'll watch a show.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not the act.
freshly showered type behavior right there.
You don't know if it's clean.
Hey, speaking of that, yesterday at 7:00 in the morning, a report came across the scanner.
Oh my God.
Someone on Main Street for a block on both sides had pulled all the freaking flowers out of the planters and pooped in all the trash cans. Now, there's like 8 trash cans between both sides of the street. That is a lot of poop. So it had to be a group of people, okay?
That's out of pocket.
That is the wackiest shit.
Drugs are bad. Okay.
It's like, how bad do you have to piss somebody off to where they rip out all your flowers and poop in all of your trash cans? That is crazy.
Maybe they just saved up the poop. Maybe they just saved it and then just
dumped going the extra mile though. That person would be a great worker because they're dedicated to their cause. You know, I want to find that person and hire them to do something. Because I know they're going to go the extra mile.
I feel like,
and then piss them off.
I just feel, I don't even know how to put into words how I feel.
I'm too embarrassed to poop in public, and not in a strange bathroom, but just to be in the middle of the street and just pull my pants down and be like,
especially,
"Hey!"
You're talking about the big terracotta concrete looking ones downtown.
Yes,
those things are fucking huge.
Yeah, they're like they got the huge like
it literally would. Yeah, it's
and with the little tiny circle in the top. Yeah,
this is ridiculous. Like people,
I don't know what's wrong with people.
It's too much. I am way too lazy.
Are we too old? Are we too old?
I'm too lazy for that.
Now.
Why hold on to that's so much work? Being angry that much, angry that long, planning it out.
I poop.
That's what I'm saying. I poop just fucking like.
I only poop like 4 or 5 times a day max.
Pissed off teenagers. I'm like, can you calm the fuck down? Seriously.
So much energy into pointless stuff. No.
You know what I'm ready for? I'm ready for every teenager that's in high school to graduate and realize that nobody cares, that their feelings are hurt. I want to be right there. So I see it in their eyes.
I want to hear walk it off. Like, I'm not. Oh, let me.
I want to see them get their first paycheck and learn about taxes. I want to be right there to hold their hand and laugh at them.
So hydroponics is hydropoopies. Now on to
yeah. Okay. Back on track. Woo-woo. Okay. And here's the thing. The main 2 I want to talk about are hydroponics and aeroponics. Hydroponics actually contains the subcategory of aeroponics, but there's some differences there that make aeroponics a little bit more complicated and different from your normal hydroponic setup, whether it be ebb and flow, whether it be nutrient film, which is similar to aeroponics, but with aeroponics, instead of there's a couple of different ways you can do aeroponics. But before we go into that, let's figure out what they actually are. Hydroponics is the growing of plants without soil instead of using a grow medium for support. Because the growing medium is sterile, the hydroponic gardener provides nutrition to the plant by feeding it a liquid hydroponic nutrient solution. Aeroponics is
okay.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Aeroponics is a form of hydroponic garden in which the gardener suspends the plants with the roots hanging in a dark chamber, and a pump connected to a timer sprays aerated nutrient solution on the roots periodically.
Okay.
Now,
so instead of a mist where it's with the aeroponics, it's just air and nutrients. There's no moisture.
All you have to do is create that mist, because now this is one of the new things that you can do is they have these little buzzers that you can put in your actual trays, and they buzz at something like 6,000 hertz a minute. So they buzz 6,000 hertz a minute, and that vibration causes, if it's not totally submerged, will vibrate so fast that it will cause a mist to form in your chamber.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, and that's what I mean is aeroponics. There's so much more stuff that you can do, and it's a little bit more complicated. Where hydroponics is either your roots, you're suspending your roots, and you're either flooding them with water and nutrient solution, or at some time you're periodically submerging the roots, whether it be continuously or maybe 15 minutes out of every hour. But one of the hard things to do is to time it, because if you're using a flood table in your hydroponic ebb and flow, as your roots get bigger, they're going to require more water. So, because in an ebb and flow table, your drain drains out at a quarter to a third of what your pump pumps in. And that's one of the factors that determines how much water stays in there how long. As your roots get bigger, they require more water. So you have to adjust your pump accordingly. So it may go from 15 minutes an hour in the veg stage to 30 minutes pumping every hour in the flower stage, just because they're requiring so much more water as your plants get bigger.
That makes sense.
And it's kind of crazy because I've done an ebb and flow a couple of times, and as you grow your roots, there's a couple of different theories about the time that you should freaking allow your roots to be dry. Because in experimentation, I did one where I was trying to pump it to where my roots were only dry for 10 minutes out of every hour. And then I reversed it to where my roots were dry about 30 to 40 minutes out of each hour. The crazy part is, when they're dry that long, your roots start looking like stalks. They get hardened, and it's more difficult for them to suck up water.
Weird. Okay.
Because when you look at your roots will have the same texture as your stalk, with that closed hard cells around the outside, except they won't be green. If you're lucky, they'll be light brown. They won't be white because you're running nutrients through them, but they'll normally be light brown. Party foul.
Party foul. Like party foul.
Look in the closet across the door across from here, and there's a towel.
It's not as bad as I thought it was.
Not really. There's not that much water in there. But anyway, there's a couple of freaking advantages and disadvantages of freaking hydroponics. Some of the advantages of hydroponics are they tend to be simpler and cheaper. Your standard hydroponic system, simpler and cheaper. Some can even be built from materials you can find around your house. They're easy to customize, and some hydro systems are passive with no moving parts and no risk of plants dying in case of power loss. So, with that being said, with less moving parts, you've got less complications. But there are some disadvantages to hydroponics. And it's labor-intensive gardening method requiring frequent pH testing of your water and constant monitoring of the plants to ensure the proper nutrition and lighting. Because if your pH is off, you've got to remember, in hydroponics, you're actually pumping your nutrient solution directly onto your plants. Whereas in soil, you have that little bit of buffer to kind of soften the blow. Freaking hot nutrients aren't hitting your roots exactly. They have to go through the soil, and your roots are absorbing them. But if your pH is off, you can kill a whole crop in your hydroponic setup, because your solution is going directly onto those roots. And that's, of course, one of the drawbacks, is it's labor intensive. You've got to be on that, because most hydroponic systems require that every 14 days. If you've got a 60-gallon hydroponic tank for your 4x4 flood table, you've got to you've got to dump that 60 gallons of nutrient solution every 60 days because it's depleted. So,
Okay.
like in Bakersfield, we had bad water, so every 2 weeks I got to go to the windmill and get 8 5-gallon buckets of water at $1.25 a piece, put them in the back of my car, haul that back to the crib, and because we were growing in the basement, we hooked up this rain barrel downstairs, and we took a potty chair and put a funnel with the hose running down to it through the freaking crawl space so we could dump the water outside, and we didn't have to worry about carrying the water down the stairs. Because
that's crazy.
Yeah, a gallon of water weighs 8 pounds. So a 5-gallon bucket weighs 40 pounds. Yeah. It's, and it's one of the trade-offs.
Isn't the pH supposed to be like 5.5, something like that?
5.8 to 6.3 or 6.4 is normally what I run.
Okay.
Some people say you can go from 5.5 to 6.5, but in doing that, I find that when I'm in the 6.4 to 6.5, I'm in 5.7 and lower, I get wonky growth, and I don't get gradual growth. I get spurts of growth. So when I'm out of that pH, I'll get like, for 1 week they may say yeah, but then the next week they may be like no. But they're at the end they're going to end up the same size. It just stresses your plant a little bit.
Weird. Okay.
And it's it's one of those things, and it all boils down to no matter how you grow, whether you're growing in soil, whether you're growing in dirt, it all comes down to the grower. If you're paying attention and you're freaking checking your plants daily, which is recommended, taking a look at them and inspecting them for bugs, freaking any freaking type of, detrimental growth, dead leaves, removing dead leaves as soon as you see them, you're going to have great plants no matter how you grow. It all boils down to you get out of it whatever you put into it. If you just set up a hydroponic system and let it grow, and I ran a hydroponic system a whole flower cycle, and I didn't change the water because I didn't know that you were supposed to change the water. All I was doing was pHing the water. I thought, this is awesome. I'm saving so much money on nutrients, but I wasn't. My plants only got about 2 foot tall, and I actually would have probably been better off doing a sea of green because I only got like 1.5 ounces per plant, which is not great.
Yeah.
I wasted a lot of money to get 1.5 ounces per plant. So I can testify to you that every 14 days, 7, a lot of people recommend 7 for maximum effectiveness. But at the most days, 14, you got to swap that out because your plants are uptaking nutrients all the time. So once you do that first mix, after the first time it goes through there, and it goes through a couple of times an hour, after the first time it goes through there, it's at, let's say it's at 2%. If it goes through 10 times a day, it's only at 90%. You do that for 10 days, you're down to almost nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that I didn't pay attention to. And eventually I paid the price for it. I thought I was saving a bunch of money, but did I really? Because I spent all that money. I should have. Captain Obvious should have come over there and told me, hey, freak, change that water. But he didn't. So I only end up with about fucking, in a 4x4 flood table, we had 24 plants. And I ended up with about 20 freaking jars with 1.5 ounces.
Wow.
Just enough to piss you off. Well, I'll put it this way. That same setup, changing my nutrients as necessary, making sure the water's pH, I yielded about 8 ounces per plant. Now, 8 ounces is the most I've ever yielded on a flood table. But hey, when your plants are in alignment, on the average with a flood table, because with a flood table, I like to elevate my flood tables, which limits the height of my plants.
Okay.
Standard room is between 8 and 10 foot tall. I've got 2 foot of lights and nonsense hanging from the ceiling. I put my flood table on a couple of sawhorses so I don't have to bend over and break my back all the time. and then so about 2 foot high. So I've got 8-inch sides on my flood table. So I'm about a little over 2.5 feet that I've lost. So my plants are never going to be more than 3.5 feet high in that flood table. So if I got to top them, because I don't scrog them in the flood table, I just top them. And when I top them, I don't bend them. I just cut them off. Because everywhere I cut off is going to sprout 2 branches. And eventually I'll get like a canopy freaking under my lights. So hydroponics, while it has a great payoff, you got to be on it or you're gonna screw yourself. But I will tell you this, it's one of the easiest ways to increase your production. I've never had bigger root balls, which means more buds on your plant. I've never had bigger root balls than with hydroponics. I've pulled out plants out of 5-gallon buckets where I can only get like a gallon or 2 of water in there because it's all roots.
I read somewhere that aeroponics was best only for the start of the plant, not necessarily for the vegetation or flowering, just because of the way that it's set up. It's not designed for long-term growth.
True.
But it's also super expensive and then susceptible to any kind of power shutoff because it's very finicky. You have to be some kind of expert using it. So not only is it a tricky system, it's an expensive system, and it's not even for the longevity of the plant. You can get some amazing results to start with, which is, like a nursery moment rather than a full grow moment.
Well, to be honest with you, my easy cloner is a type of aeroponics because it throws a mist on there. And I got to tell you, that's the system that I have the most, not only the most success, but I get the healthiest root balls in my clones in my easy cloner because I'm using that aero mist system. But I have found in my experience, I don't have enough expertise to grow a plant in an aeroponic system all the way through to flower and harvest because I've tried before, and what you have to realize is you're making a mist in that system, and it requires you to clean that freaking tray and clean that system out once at least every 20 to 30 days.
And our water sucks around here, so if you don't
anything in the water, just like boiling water, when you boil water, you get that residue of anything that's in that water. The same thing happens. You're turning that nutrient solution into a fine mist, and what happens, it's so fine, any variation in heat over 75 degrees is going to cause that water to evaporate and leave that residue on everything in your aeroponic system. So if you're growing more than 2 plants, I wouldn't recommend freaking an aeroponic system all the way to flower because the cleanup is what kills you. And there are some freaking advantages. Let me tell you about the advantages of the aeroponics. An aeroponic system oxygenates the nutrient solution before spraying it on the plant's roots. The oxygen aids in nutrient absorption, which can result in faster growth, larger plants, and bigger harvests. Some of the disadvantages of freaking aeroponics are the cost. Like we're talking about before, the cost. Aeroponic systems are more expensive than hydro systems and are completely dependent on an external power source to run the air and nutrient pumps and the timer. Even a short interruption, talking to you down there, California, with your rolling blackouts, with all your electric cars, talking to you, even a short interruption in power can result in the roots drying out and killing your plants. But if you want higher yields, the risk may be worth it. And there's a caveat there. If you want higher yields, and unfortunately, there's only so many hours in the day. And what I mean is, if I have one plant, I can devote 12 hours a day to that one plant and have a beautiful, huge plant. But the problem with that is it's not scalable. If I have 2 plants, then I have no time to do anything else in the day. So while aeroponics is good, the more plants you have, the more expensive it becomes. And there's so many moving parts that have to come together. It's in my experience, and I've lost entire crops. not of weed, but when we owned the grow store, we on display we had an aeroponic system, and we would grow Swiss chard in there.
Nice.
So, with Swiss chard is a very leafy vegetable, a very leafy leaf rather, and it requires lots of water. So we figured, as a display, we figured it'd be great to freaking grow, and they were growing good. They grew good for about half a year. Freaking, if people wanted some, we'd chop it off and give it to them. And we had a slight power outage for about 45 minutes overnight. And when we came in the next morning, the only way we could tell is that the clocks were 45 minutes behind.
Mm.
But with that short power outage, it killed 48 plants.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because that moisture that they're getting from that aerated or oxygenated spray is the only moisture they're getting. There's no moisture hardly left in the bottom for them to get. It's all misted. So imagine if you just had a tray or a flood table with a top on it and you just had water or nutrient mist in there. So if those pumps stop, there's no mist, and those roots start drying out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're only at about 50% moisture already because they're not completely submerged.
48 plants. Holy crap.
If it was weed, I would have cried. But since it was just a start, I pulled those bitches out of there, and we went with I think Santa Ana peppers, which it looks kind of like a spicy pepper, but it's not really spicy. And what we did is, if you buy when they were ready, if you buy $10 worth of stuff, we give you a free pepper with every purchase.
That's funny.
Well, because there's one thing that you want to know. And you want to know that the person that you're getting grow advice from can grow things. Mm-hmm. Because there's all kinds of people telling you all kinds of stuff on the internet. And don't get me wrong, about 50% of it works and is a solid information. But which 50%? Because you're just on the internet. You could be anybody, Sam Jameson. You could be anybody. So, and that's the thing. One of the things that boosted up our credibility is they could see in the store that we were producing things with the methods that we were espousing. So when you walk in the store and you see stuff growing, you're like, oh shit, these are the guys to talk to. It's like seeing a skinny cook. That's a bad sign,
Or a tattoo artist with no tattoos.
I've seen them.
Do you remember Naked Owls in Bakersfield?
Yes.
It's because he had no tattoos.
Yes.
He was the owner of the shop.
But like world famous.
That's funny.
I think. He might have been world famous in like Biker Magazine or some shit like that. I don't know if that's really world famous because people are just trying to look at the boobs in there.
Something like that.
But yeah. But, we've got a couple people in the audience. Let's open it up. We're freaking coming to them. Let's open it up for questions and smoking.
What's everybody smoking?
We're smoking some pineapple kush from one of our supporters, a guy that helps us out, old Speedy Boy there. He's doing something that is near and dear to my heart. And what I mean is he's teaching people to grow weed in a country where literally, if they're caught with weed, they're going to get shot. This is the same country whose president got elected on the freaking strength of him killing a bunch of drug dealers. And they don't make any discrimination as to what drugs.
They don't care.
Yeah, they're freaking. It's also a place where you can opt to have lashes instead of getting locked up. We're talking some old school shits going on over there. But yeah. He's teaching people to grow weed without freaking relying on Fox Farm because you can't get Fox Farm. You can't get any nutrient that is even remotely associated with weed. You can't get it there.
That's crazy.
But, I can totally see where they're coming from because the Philippines is right inside what's known as the Golden Triangle. And the Golden Triangle is literally the place to be to grow poppies, freaking take heroin, and they have a huge heroin problem. So I can see why they're freaking no drugs. Because, you know,
they need to get spice legalized, because then they could have a spice problem instead of a heroin problem.
No, you don't get, no. Spice is not synthetic marijuana.
I know it's not. It's like horrible chemicals. I know.
And it cracks me up every time on the news. They're like, oh yeah, K2, synthetic marijuana. Absolutely not.
No, it doesn't even give you the same trip as marijuana does. It's not even, it's nothing to do with marijuana.
Because I've been on the inside of that scam. I used to own a cigarette store, and my man was grossing like $1,000, $1,200 a week. So when we bought it, and he showed me the books and everything. I'm like, yeah, woo, we're in the money now. What he didn't tell me is that $600 to $800 a week, $600 to $800 a week of that was spice. Now, he had a trap door underneath, behind the counter. He had a little wooden pedestal built, and he had a trap door where he had to hit all the spice under.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I mean, it's not cool, but that's cool. That's cool as shit. That's like some bootlegger shit.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Spice is freaking, it's literally anything you want it to be. Because how spice is made is basically they're taking potpourri and spraying it with chemicals. Now, because the bag says K2, hey, I can buy those K2 bags on Wish. Okay? We can K2, I can have Burners Cookies weed. I can buy those bags, those Mylar bags on Wish. In any design I want.
That's crazy.
So just because it says K2 on the package doesn't mean it's K2. You may have freaking 20 packages of K2 with 20 different logos on them, which mean they came from not manufacturers, because they didn't come from manufacturers. They came from a guy in his bathtub taking a freaking bug sprayer, filling it with chemicals, spraying a bunch of potpourri down, letting it dry, and then bagging it up and sealing it. They had, down on 4th Street, which is the wholesale district in LA, they had a $3.2 million spice bust. Picked up a guy, he was selling spice. They said, now we want to search your house. He had a 40-foot container full of bags and boxes containing spice. They were all in bulk bags, and what he was doing, he orders the bags off of Alibaba from China and whatever design he wants, bags it up indiscriminately, and now, because we had, the most popular one we had at the cigarette store was this thing called Scooby Snacks. Had Scooby and Shaggy on the bag, and freaking had little Scooby Snacks pictures. Totally phony. Totally phony. After we had the store for about a month, and I found out what spice actually was, we had to stop selling it. Because I found out that there was
that's illegal as shit.
Yeah.
In your legal place of business.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Shit. I'm not necessarily the most legal eagle in the bunch. But I ain't trying to kill nobody, you know what I'm saying?
Not trying to kill nobody and not trying to drag your whole business down with it.
Yeah. The most potent spice, the most quote unquote effective spice contains heavy metals. And if you refer to medical journals, you'll realize that the effect that you get from spice is your body's reaction to poisoning. What happens is you get a bunch of, your body says, I'm gonna die, and it starts pumping adrenaline, squirt, 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 squirt. And then fucking, after it does that for a few seconds, it stops because it feels like the poison is neutralized, and that's why your spice high only lasts like 10 minutes.
I thought that it was better than heroin because it was cheaper.
Well, that's the thing. People say it is better than heroin.
People get addicted to it and they leave their heroin habit. Like, that's the craziest shit. It has to be pretty fucking amazing if you're going to leave your heroin habit for spice.
Well, you can buy spice at any cigarette store. And it's super cheap. an ounce bag costs, or excuse me, a half ounce bag costs you like $20.
But you do get that chemical dependence on it.
Exactly, and you're not addicted to the chemicals in the spice. You're addicted to the adrenaline and the dopamine that your body pumps out, similar to heroin and crystal meth. Now, there's a center over there. That center over there by Martin's meets the something or another center. I found out that center was started by a man and lady, and it caters to people who have brain injuries. And at that particular time I was doing the research, 75% of the people with brain injuries that were being helped by that facility was because of spice.
That's crazy.
And I actually went over there because I was like, you hear stuff on the internet. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This is some old reefer madness fucking bullshit. And I went over there, and they were actually able to show me some of the x-rays of their current patients, and their x-rays look like fucking Swiss cheese. Weird. And it's because that it eats holes in your brain. And now I have dead spots in my brain right now. And it's the same type of thing. I have memory loss. Mm-hmm. I have I could be talking to you and I'll forget. And it's the same thing. It's just self-induced. Mine's not as bad as freaking from a year, say, taking spice, but yeah, it's there. So, sometimes I'm talking to people, I'm like, what are we talking about? But it may be from the weed too, so yeah. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, boys and girls, we thank you for joining us. We did get to talk about some gross stuff a little bit, but we spiced it in with a little colloquial humor because it's super boring to learn about this stuff. Once again, I am Slizwack. This is Gina. And on the other screen there, we have Rochel T. And this has been the Thursday Night Sesh. And we'll see you next week.
Hasta la pasta.
Why? Because you should grow.
You should grow.
Tell your grandma.